My ex-husband's ex-girlfriend and I ruined his new engagement and saved another girl from his abuse. I actually only found out about this sub because someone wrote a story that involved me. I can't find it, but it was written by my now ex-husband's ex-girlfriend. She was feeling conflicted about her choice to send me a binder that detailed how he was abusive in their relationship after finding out I was pregnant. It was full of dated photos, her journal entries, text threads, voicemail transcriptions, protective orders, court records, and police reports. It took me a bit to process everything she gave me, but after I did, I sat down with her and talked for hours about her experiences and the stories he had told me about their time together. In the end, I, of course, believed her. And as Morgan and plenty of guests have said countless times, I wouldn't have even thought about sitting down with her if I hadn't deep down seen some signs or red flags. That day, she even offered me a place to stay to get out, but I went and packed a bag and stayed with my mom. Turns out my mom never really liked him and had heard rumors of him being arrested and charged with DV and a number of other charges, which were all proven true by her records. I didn't tell him right away what happened, just that I was going to stay with my mom that night because my grandma had a fall and I was going to help my mom take care of her. Well, he showed up anyway, not out of concern for my grandma, but because he knew I was a lying bitch. That's what he told me when I heard his truck pull up and went outside. Apparently, he decided to become observant for the first time since we got married and noticed that I took some smaller but really sentimental and valuable things with me and left my wedding ring tucked in my jewelry box, which he never normally looked in. My mom came out while he was yelling in my face and said she called the cops. He tried to get me to come home with him, but I refused. So I called his ex, and she, with zero hesitation, asked for the address and said she was coming over. We all sat and talked and cried and called a divorce lawyer together. I ignored dozens of calls and texts from him that night, and the next day we all went together back to my house, along with a cop and his ex's husband for some added security and to create an official record. He had absolutely trashed my things and took off to I don't know where. Of course, he had my location. I turned it off, don't worry, but I never had his. I got a good amount of my things and moved into my mom's spare room temporarily. From that day on, I barely spoke to him except through a lawyer, and we got divorced. I got the house because I was the only one on the mortgage and had proof of being the only one to really pay the bills. But even after I moved back, there was damage he did to the house out of spite and rage. I can only imagine what would have happened to me instead of the walls and furniture had I been there. Unfortunately, I did end up losing the baby I was pregnant with at the time. It was my first time being pregnant, and I do have some health complications, so this was always a concern. Add on such stress, and it was a bad mix and, I guess, just not the right time for me. Certainly not the right guy, and I can't help but think someone was, in a heartbreaking and twisted way, looking out for me to make sure I wasn't tied to him forever. That thought has helped me heal from all of this. Now somehow, this became an even crazier story. His ex and I have remained good friends since all this, and she texted me a screenshot of him posting an engagement photo with another girl. He has us both blocked everywhere, but women are the FBI and also look out for each other, so through the grapevine it made it back to us. We found this girl and sent her the dreaded "Hey girly" message. She left us on red for about 3 days and then asked to talk. So we got coffee together and brought the binder, now complete with my story as well. She said that she'd been asking prodding questions the couple of days since we messaged her, and in her words, the red flags just kept popping up. I know this has been long, so we'll wrap it up nicely. She also left his abusive butt. We are all friends, and we have no plans to let this man have a peaceful life. As long as he keeps abusing and manipulating women, you bet we'll show up with our binder. Now for the top comments. Damn, that's some heavy stuff you've been through, sis. Super proud of you for leaving that dumpster fire of a man, though. You and your ex's ex definitely did a hell of a job. Mad respect. Keep your head up, gal. Ain't no one deserves to be treated the way he did. And kudos to you both for saving another poor soul from his BS. Y'all the real MVPs 100%. As for that lost lil soul, so sorry for your loss. But you're right. The universe works in weird ways sometimes. Take care and stay strong. Thank you. Dumpster fire is the only appropriate description of him, haha. When the timing is right, everything will happen the way it's supposed to. Until then, we'll keep an eye out if he decides to try his BS again. You may be a heroine to many, but it is important that you take care of yourself first. If your ex has a history of abuse and violence, and he knows that you and his other former girlfriends are becoming involved in his relationships and threaten to continue to do so, he may realize that the only way to stop you is to do you harm. I have been a counselor/therapist for many years and speak from experience in this matter. He may not directly threaten or harm you so that others may see it, but accidents do happen. Thank you for saying that, especially with your experience. I'm pretty sure I paid off my therapist's mortgage. For a while, I went twice a week. Now I'm down to every other week. But when this all happened, she squeezed me in for an emergency slot. So mentally, I am putting in the work to take care of myself. As far as physical safety, I now have a concealed carry license. His ex encouraged me to get it because she did as well when she took out a restraining order, as he did not follow it at first until he was on an ankle monitor. There's also an added layer to this, where he was pretty heavy into the biker community and was part of a club. Well, after his ex broke things off and got him arrested, she was a total badass and went and told the head of that club the whole story too. And they do not tolerate violence against women and children. So he essentially put their own unofficial protective order on her, and now me as well, so that does actually make me feel safer. Of course, you can't always plan for absolutely everything, so there is fear, but I try not to let that consume me. I appreciate your care so much. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my struggling wife? My wife, 32 female, and I, 38 male, had our daughter 2 years ago. We've been together for 10 years and wanted our life together before having kids. The pregnancy was complicated, and when she went into labor 2 months early, everything happened so fast I could barely process it. She had to have an emergency C-section, and for a few terrifying hours, I thought I might lose both of them. After a few weeks in the hospital, both my wife and our baby were finally stable enough to come home. Our daughter was small but strong, and I thought once we were home, things would slowly start to feel normal again. I was wrong. About 2 months later, my wife told me she didn't feel connected to our daughter, that she didn't feel love for her. I didn't know what to say. I just hugged her and told her it was okay, that it might just take time and that we'd figure it out. I helped her get into therapy and tried not to pressure her to bond with our baby because I didn't want her to feel worse. Months went by. I took unpaid leave from work to take care of the baby and tried to keep everything together. I did the feedings, the diapers, the appointments, everything. My wife barely left our bedroom. She went to therapy and talked to her doctor, but there wasn't much improvement. My wife's mother told me she'd snap out of it after a while and just needed time. So I just kept telling myself it was postpartum depression and that she'd get better eventually. When our daughter turned 1, I threw her a little birthday party. I decorated, invited both sides of the family, and tried to make it special. Everyone had a good time. My daughter was laughing. It felt like things were okay. My wife stayed upstairs the whole time. I brought her a plate of food and asked if she wanted to come down just to sing happy birthday. She told me she won't remember it anyway. I just nodded and left her alone. The next year, my wife stopped answering her therapist's calls, stopped talking to me, and stopped leaving our room completely, no matter how much I tried to talk and get her help. When it was our daughter's 2nd birthday, I planned the entire party by myself, hoping she might finally come out and join us. She didn't. She hadn't held our daughter in months. She barely spoke to her. I finally snapped that day. I went upstairs and told her how unfair it was that our daughter didn't deserve to be ignored or treated like she didn't exist. My wife just stared at the wall and didn't say anything. I stood there for a bit, then walked out. After that, something in me just broke. I realized I couldn't keep doing it. It wasn't fair to my daughter or to me. I'd done everything I could. Therapy, patience, support, but nothing changed. A few weeks later, I packed up and left. I took our daughter with me, went to my mother's, and have been staying with her. Now my wife's family is furious. They've tried to take my daughter. They've been calling me an insensitive piece of turd, saying I abandoned her when she was struggling, that I should have stayed and been more understanding. But I was understanding. For 2 years. I supported her through everything, even when it meant putting my own life on hold. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your wife needs serious help, possibly inpatient mental health services. But your top priority has to be your daughter. If her parents keep harassing you, tell them, I have to take care of my daughter. I need you to step up and take care of yours, because I can't take care of both of them at the same time. I agree. You didn't abandon her. You protected your daughter. For 2 years, you were a single parent while living with your wife, doing everything to support her with no improvement. Your child's need for a present, engaged, and safe parent outweighs your wife's need for you to enable her absence. You reached your breaking point after exhausting all other options. Your wife sounds like she needs to be institutionalized. Is there a Baker Act law in your state? I don't think she can help it. That's the bottom line. For better or worse, it is exceedingly hard to get someone involuntarily institutionalized or even submitted to a 72-hour involuntary hold if they are not an active danger to themselves or others. OP's wife clearly needs medical care, professional therapy, and medication. But if she is not an active threat, they are simply not going to hold her. One of the saddest truths you learn as an adult is that they have to want help. Your wife decided she didn't want help. There's nothing else you can do. Consider filing to terminate her rights. Last story. Left my wife after she ghosted me. Am I the a-hole? This is a throwaway account. Also poorly written because I'm still seeing red and can't keep my mind straight. My 54 male wife, 53 female, is from Greece. We've been married 31 years and raised 4 wonderful kids. We both work, spend plenty of happy time together. We aren't wealthy but are financially stable, and our children are the world to us. While we've had a few bumps in our marriage, we never had any serious problems all these years together. She is very close to her Greek heritage, and we spend a lot of time at Greek functions, church, social clubs, etc. I usually have a good time at these things, but I never learned to speak Greek fluently, so there have been a few of these nights where I was bored and had to amuse myself. Never a problem. I was always happy to power through these as long as my wife was having a good time. At this last function we attended, we sat next to each other at dinner, and the club's photographer sat next to my wife on the other side. He and my wife hit it off, which would never be a problem. Maybe they grew up in the same neighborhood or something like that. But suddenly he became the sole focus of her attention, to the point where she blew me off all night. Again, typically not a problem. We've been together a long time, I have pretty thick skin, and most importantly, I certainly trust her. But they were deep in conversation, in Greek, all through dinner. I had no idea what they were talking about, and she ignored me almost completely. She also got annoyed with me a few times when I spoke to her and asked that she at least acknowledge me. This treatment continued most of the night. She stuck with him, not me, all night, danced with him, and spent quite a bit of time with him doing shots at the bar. Every time I tried to engage her in any way, she reacted as if I were putting a damper on her good time. So I gave up, sat at our table for the night, and just let her do her thing. But I was not happy. Sometime after 11 p.m., she finally came over and asked if I was ready to go home. I said I was ready when she was, and she said okay. She then pointed at another woman and said, I just need to talk to her about a couple of things. We're going to leave in about 15 minutes. I said fine and went out to the back of the banquet hall to have a cigarette. When I came back in, she was nowhere to be found. I tried to call her, but no answer. No reason to panic. Her phone might be in her purse or something. I sat at our table for about 15 minutes, looking around for her, but never found her. So I walked around and asked a few people if they saw her. The 4th person I asked said she might have left for the after party. I knew nothing about an after party, so I inquired, and she said, in an apologetic tone that let me know I wasn't invited, that the club president was hosting an after party at her home, and it was for club officials, employees, and special guests. Turns out my wife was invited, and I wasn't. I didn't think that was a thing, as my wife never mentioned any after party. I went to the valet station and brought up a picture of my wife on my phone and asked if they saw her, and one of them told me yes, she left about 10 minutes ago. I really didn't want to tell the whole world that my wife might be making a fool of me, So I told a few lies about how we needed her to sign some paperwork and maneuvered one of the valets into telling me she left with a gentleman in the navy blazer and beige slacks. Yep, the photographer. I stayed around the banquet hall for another 20 minutes, calling her and texting her, and never received a response. So I went home and was up all night calling her and texting her. No answer, no reply. At 4:31 a.m., after the final attempt to call her, I asked myself why the heck I was chasing her down instead of packing my bags. So I packed a bunch of my belongings, put them in the car, and made a hotel reservation for myself. At 5:24 a.m., I was on the second-floor common area balcony having a cigarette when a car pulled up in front of our building. It sat there running until 5:37 a.m., and then the front passenger door opened and the car's interior light came on. I saw my wife and this guy in the car. She got out. They were chatting and laughing in Greek, and my wife told him goodnight. She closed the door after him and blew a kiss to him as he drove away. She then went to our condo. I saw the bedroom light come on, and after a few minutes, she came looking for me on the balcony. No hello, no apology. She seemed mad at me and angrily asked why I was out there. I told her to go to bed and we'd talk in the morning. She said, whatever, and huffed back to our condo, while I went downstairs, got in my car, and left. She immediately started calling and texting me, asking where I was going, but I ignored her. See how she likes it. I spent the next 2 nights at the hotel and then went to stay with a friend. She has no idea where I'm staying. I'm ignoring her calls and texts and telling our children to stay out of it. I spoke with an attorney and asked for divorce papers to be served. I haven't told my kids the why yet. They keep asking me what the heck is going on, and I'm telling them not to involve themselves. My soon-to-be ex-wife not only thinks I'm overreacting, but that she really didn't do anything wrong in the first place. That ignoring me all night, giving her undivided attention to another guy, telling me we were going to leave and then disappearing with this other guy to go to a party she never mentioned to me, and ignoring my calls and texts for the rest of the night, was nothing for me to be mad about. That coming home at 5:30 in the morning was no big deal. She also keeps texting me that nothing happened between her and this guy, but that makes no difference. Her actions that night made me feel a hatred that I would have never thought I could feel for her. It took her one single night to turn 30+ years of being head over heels for her into hate. It brings tears to my eyes. How could she do this kind of thing to me? I don't know what she told the kids, and I don't really care. My friends who I've told the story to think maybe I'm acting a little too extreme. Tell me, Reddit, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If she wants to act like she's single, then she can do it after those divorce papers are served, lol. Real fafo. Yeah, this was one really bad night of fafo for her, but she sure as heck made it count. Tell your kids the truth. Don't let her build a narrative or she will make you look like the a-hole. She cheated, there is no doubt about that. Good for you for divorcing. Not the a-hole. Tell your kids. Tell the truth. Why is he protecting this selfish and cold woman? I don't know what spell she cast on him, but it's time it was broken and he told the truth. Just start speaking.